Good morning, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate you checking out what's going on at Sola Spiritus. So, thank you. Today, I want to talk about names, my name in particular, and the understanding of my name, my identity, and how I think of myself. And it all started really some time ago when I began to do my very first website and looking for a name for my website. And I think in that quest, I began to realize that there are other things that I could call myself. There are other identities that I could undertake and understand that were closer to my being than the name that's on my driver's license. Although I'm very proud of that name and my heritage, my predominantly Viking heritage, it's really been an interesting saga. I got my 23andMe genetic reading, and sure enough, I'm pretty much a Viking, and I'm glad for that because I'm glad for my history, and I'm glad for my beginnings, I guess. But beyond that, I began to, undertake other sorts of investigations into how I could present myself. Of course, then there's the avatar that we all try and create and craft. But beyond even that, I began to understand that there was more to who I am than even that. And that became then a search for the icons that represent who I am or that I can connect with. So that iconic connection, that understanding of my identity iconically has become extremely important to me because it has given me a sense of myself beyond the identity that I have as an American or a Viking heritage person. Those are the things that are particularly interesting to me. Like, what is my identity? Where did I come from? What are the forces that push me around in the cosmos? And coming to a larger understanding of those has been exciting. I mean, I wake up understanding myself in a different way as a result of the acquisition of an identity that I have, in a way, crafted for myself. It's a crafting that comes from my own experiences. Like, what are the images that I resonate with? What are those things? What are the energies that come off those images, and how do I connect with them? It's been extremely interesting. And I think in my life, I can remember many times trying to find those images in different formulations. So, I spent 3 years in the infantry. So I saw myself as an infantry soldier, a warrior. And indeed I was. But did that identity stick with me? Did it really contain who I am? Was it a good container for me? And in the end, I had to say no. And then I had an identity which came from my associations with the church. I could call myself a certain thing, a Christian, and did that really summate my identity, my being? And I looked at it pretty hard, and I had to say to myself, it really didn't. I felt more than that, or not that. There was a disconnect there at some level, an important level that I had to say, no, that's not me. But I didn't devolve into some sort of academic atheism or something. I couldn't do that because I've had so many experiences that have been very real. The arrival of an entity in my life that absolutely changed my life when I was a young boy. And that is real. That has continued in its experience in my life. So it's an ongoing experience. And that has shaped my understanding of my own identity. And I've had 3 or 4 other incidents like that have been extremely powerful and have given me a sense to look beyond just, as I said, my driver's license for who I am, that there's another kind of identifier and identification that's really powerful. So I took from my experience and I encapsulated that, I think, in a way, I hope a good way, to the name of my website, solospiritist.com. And that solo spiritist is essentially one breath, but one breath in two worlds. This world here of the manifest reality, and the other world, the hidden world, the unseen world. And I feel fully resident in both of those worlds. I mean, I feel very connected to that. In different kinds of ways, there's different understandings. So I think in both, the middle ground is a poetic understanding. And I've been accused by those who are close to me that I communicate predominantly poetically, and it makes for difficult intellectual exchanges because the way that I use language is really different than the folks of my family or those around me. And I've thought about that a lot, and I've thought about it in the context of, my viewership, and I've realized that it's probably true that I'm not a clear communicator in some ways. So I think of that as an advantage because it means that perhaps the algorithms are a little dumbfounded by the things that I have to say, and I am heartened by that. So in a way, I'm saying as part of your identity, it is the ability to craft your own language, your own way to communicate that's unique to you. And that uniqueness to me is what I want to talk about, because it is an extremely important part of my being here, my manifestation, my ability to understand myself and to communicate myself in ways that I find are very revealing, and also the opportunity to be unrevealed. That there's an aspect of my identity, my true identity, and you could use a lot of euphemisms for that, my star child identity, my solar identity, my cosmic identity, that exists, beyond just this plane. And to be able to conceal that, to be able to tell people that, don't have any right to know or shouldn't know what it is that's my true identity, is a really important thing. So I feel very secure in the fact that I can protect myself in a particular kind of way. So the idea of being doxxed is one thing. That's about who you are on your driver's license or your mailing address. And there's a concern there that's very real, because there are a lot of very unstable people of the beast, who are very violent, and you don't know what they're going to do. And so, though I'm not in fear of them, I don't want my calling to be interrupted by them because I am inadvertently disclosing things I shouldn't. That's not what I want to do. That's not how I want to do things. So I want to stay with this idea of identity and how to establish it, and also how to establish where you're from, what your allegiance is, what are you connected to. So in my endeavor as solo spiritist, when I send out emails, etc., I am Henry Solo Spiritus. And I like that. I like that designation because it connects me to the calling that I feel very strongly about. It's what I want to do. It's the work I do. It's the work of Solo Spiritus. It's the work of understanding the two worlds and how the cosmos is, how shall I say, is imposing itself in a delightful way on both this world and the unseen world. And understanding that and being part of that, ascending with that, is something I find very interesting. I really like it. I like that feeling. I like that sense of connection. And so as Henry Sola Spiritus, I have been, pursuing that identity in a way. And I found kind of home here in this place that I am creating, this space, this digital space and physical space, because, my world is physical and I have a lot of things around me that represent my connection to Sola Spiritus and my divine calling. So another thing that's happened that has been even more interesting in some ways is the arrival of the icon heron. So right across from me right now in front of my fireplace are two glorious full-size sculpts of herons in different poses. And I find them to be completely captivating. Ever since I've had them, I've been very attached to them. And then not long ago, someone sent me some photographs of herons. I was like, oh man, those are really beautiful. And then I realized in one of my bedrooms that there was a full-size Audubon picture of a heron. Very beautifully done. And gosh, I love his stuff. I wish he hadn't killed so many birds, but oh well, that was then, the 1800s. So it's important to me then to say, well, wait a minute. I've had all these images of heron come my way. What's up with that? Why do I resonate with that so much? And I've tried to think of the idea of realms, that there is in reality various realms of existence. And I thought about that and I thought, well, perhaps it could be that the realm that I am part of is realm heron. Could that make any sense? Could that be so? Even though it's definitely a construction of my experience, or maybe I should say a building of different aspects of experiences that have come together in a delightful way. And I think a way that's formative. It's a good way to begin to understand how to develop other things. So in this very principal identity, there is a home world, a home place, a home to begin to understand. And so I've kind of assumed that. I've said, okay, I'm going to act as if this is so. And in that acting of that it's so, I found a great comfort because I realized that my identity is really more than my driver's license, and also it's more than the nation that I find myself as part of. I love America, and I've been willing to fight and die for America, and I've served my time for America and continue to serve in my own ways. But I'm thinking to myself, is that the final destination? Is that my true home of all homes? Is that all there is as far as my identity with regards to where I come from? And my resolution on this, my resolve is that, I think I'm just as much part of Realm Heron, and that this earth is, in its own ways, a resident of Realm Heron as well. And there are others. And you may have a realm that's something that you're part of that is waiting to be discovered by you as your home. You could say your home star system, your home planet. I don't know. It's kind of funny, a concept, but it gives me a great deal of satisfaction. And it makes me feel, or I feel stronger as a result of understanding that there is a cosmic realm that I am part of that's beyond this little village here in the South that I'm part of. I grew up in Connecticut, and I'm a Puritan, I guess, by heart. But I love the South. I love the clean water and the trees and friendly folks and easy driving. And plenty of opportunities. But really, this is where I am now. This is my village. now, but it's not the only place I can reside. And in Realm Heron, which is a much larger reality, I find myself being very comfortable. I like being part of Realm Heron. It gives me something to think about, and I'm not so distraught necessarily about the facts of life here in America and all of the forces that push and pull against our coherence and well-being. It's pretty amazing that the beast is so intent on blood and death. Really, it's kind of surprising in a way, or not surprising, because the realms of the beast are ones that I don't want to tread, and I don't want them treading here. So I'm not going to go there, and please don't come here. And I will defend that and work against it in any way that I can. So I like those ideas, those concepts, and these have been concepts and ideas of my own meditations. So as in all of my podcasts and writings, I stress the idea of meditating on these kinds of experiences, to see where they go, to see what their content is really about. Because on first blush, they don't always reveal themselves in ways that are coherent or necessarily lend themselves to larger interpretations. They don't do that. But if I spend my time and I yearn for more, it shows up. And I think that's how I can understand my iconic discoveries of Realm Heron. It's the result of my yearning for a larger place in the cosmos. I love my neighborhood and the trees and the beauty of it, but that's not my forever home, if you know what I mean. It's just not. It's something a little bit grander than that in a way, although this is very beautiful here. And I can look out in this moment and see just a glorious tree-filled yard and, beautiful views across the river valley. So I like that stuff, but I don't think of it as the end of stuff. It's only the beginning of stuff. It's the edge of other stuff. And that stuff is what I really am striving to connect with, to be part of, and that I can largely then expand my understandings, expand my identity to become larger than I am right now. To be bigger tomorrow than I am right now is an important consideration. And it's bigger in the context of my experience. Can I have more experiences? Can I have bigger and more powerful experiences that take me closer to my calling in the divine hierarchy? That's the stuff I really like. That's the stuff I want to, spend my time on. And I would like you to do the same thing. So my work here is, in its most pure form, an encouragement to you to begin to do the same stuff, to begin to see the realities of life in a political culture that's, how shall I say, evolving daily. But there is an interpretation of that I'd like to push into just a little bit, and that is the differences in our political systems and what I would consider to be a traditional view of the world that I live in. And that traditional view is really about understanding the natural hierarchy of creation and its beauty and its power. But also in that natural hierarchy, there is a freedom of expression, a freedom of will that's really a powerful component to being obedient and understanding our calling. So in this traditional understanding, you could say that it goes back millennia in human understanding, that some of the early systems of governance or of tribal systems that are generally hierarchical represent a kind of traditional way to inhabit this world. And that traditional way is really powerful. I love the hierarchical systems, but they have a place in them for the freedom of understanding. It's the freedom of expression, the freedom of will that allows them to expand most naturally. And that is the expansion of tradition. And that expansion of tradition in the harmony with the expansion of the cosmos is big business. It's powerful stuff. So that's something I would like you to meditate on, the expansion of tradition in the context of your free will, of your imagination. So if I can think of anything for the Last Supper that would be the most powerful thing, it is that Yeshua gave to us the cup of imagination. And we drank of that cup of imagination as a physical expression of who we are and who Yeshua is. So that's what I have for today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your being here. I appreciate what I've received, and I like it that I'm able to share with you as much as I possibly can. So thank you for joining me. I wish you a great day. Amen.